This is Thorne, and today we're talking about a kind of insecurity you don't even realize you're carrying, but everyone else feels. It's not the kind of insecurity you announce. It's not the kind you can cover with a smile or drown in clever words. It's deeper than that. It lives under your skin. It lives in the slight hesitation before you speak, in the way your eyes shift when silence falls, in the tension you carry without noticing. You believe if you act calm enough, polite enough, composed enough, you'll be safe. But people don't just hear what you say. They feel who you are being. And when something inside you is unsettled, even if your mouth is saying all the right things, your presence says something else. It says, "I'm not sure if I belong here." It says, "I'm bracing for rejection even as I smile," and people pick up on that, not consciously, not logically, but emotionally. Their bodies tighten too, their trust hesitates. The connection you're hoping for fades, not because they dislike you, but because your energy whispers fear. You don't have to speak your insecurity for it to be heard. It moves through you. It lingers in the pauses you don't know how to fill. It hides in the careful way you position your body, in the way you overthink every simple interaction. You want to believe you're hiding it well, that your performance is enough, that if you nod, smile, agree at the right moments, no one will notice the tension pulling at the edges of your being. But humans are intuitive creatures. We feel before we think. We pick up on the subtle shifts in energy long before we hear the words. We notice when someone is present, and when someone is protecting themselves from being seen. And the tragedy is that all the effort you put into covering your insecurity only amplifies it. It becomes a second skin, one that people can't help but feel when they get close enough. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be real. And realness doesn't require hiding. It requires courage. The harder you work to hide your insecurity, the more visible it becomes. It's not about the words you say or the actions you take. It's about the tension underneath them. When you're constantly managing yourself, adjusting your tone, monitoring your expressions, rehearsing your reactions, people don't perceive you as calm. They perceive you as distant. They feel that you're withholding something, even if they can't articulate what it is. That small, invisible barrier you build to protect yourself ends up pushing others away. Not because you're unlikable, not because you're broken, but because connection requires risk. It requires presence. It requires the willingness to be seen without armor. When your energy says, "I'm not safe within myself," people sense it. And unconsciously, they mirror it. They keep their own guards up. They hold back. Not because they judge you, but because your energy taught them to. Real presence isn't built by eliminating fear. It's built by refusing to run from it. The people who seem naturally confident aren't the ones who feel no insecurity. They're the ones who stopped letting it control their actions. They walk into the room carrying the same fears, the same doubts, the same uncertainties. But they don't armor themselves against it. They don't rush to hide it under fake smiles or polished performances. They breathe through it. They stay with themselves even when the old reflexes scream to retreat. That is what true groundedness feels like. It's not about perfection. It's about peace. And peace doesn't come from pretending you're not afraid. It comes from allowing fear to exist without dictating who you are. When you carry yourself like that, open, steady, imperfect, people feel it. They lean in, not because you impress them, but because you made it safe for them to be real too. You spend so much energy trying to look confident that you forget what confidence actually is. It's not a perfectly steady voice. It's not a flawless smile. It's not knowing exactly what to say at every moment. True confidence is the absence of self-betrayal. It's the quiet decision to stand with yourself even when you feel exposed, to speak even when your voice shakes, to stay present even when discomfort rises like a wave inside your chest. People feel the difference. They can't always name it, but they respond to it. They sense when you are anchored in yourself, and when you are adrift, seeking approval with every word. The world doesn't need more polished performers. It needs more honest presences, more people willing to exist without demanding reassurance from every glance, every nod, every smile. And that begins the moment you choose to stop abandoning yourself just to feel safe. When you walk into a room guarded, people feel guarded too. When you show up needing to be validated, you unintentionally push others into the role of judge, a role no one wants to play. But when you show up open, imperfect, and unashamed, you create space. Space for others to relax. Space for connection to unfold naturally. You no longer grip every interaction so tightly that it breaks. You no longer treat every conversation as a performance to be perfected. You allow things to be messy, unfinished, human. And that's where real relationships are born. Not in perfection, but in presence. Not in flawless delivery, but in shared vulnerability. The people who stay, the people who really see you, are not looking for someone who hides their fears well. They're looking for someone brave enough to bring their whole self to the table, fear and all, and still stay. Imagine how different your life would feel if you stopped treating your insecurity like a stain to be scrubbed away. Imagine allowing it to be there, breathing through it, softening around it, living anyway. Insecurity isn't a defect. It's a signal, a call to reconnect with the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide. When you answer that call with acceptance instead of shame, something changes. You move differently. You speak differently. You stop needing every interaction to prove your worth. You stop approaching every moment like it's a test you could fail. Instead, you begin to trust yourself, not because you're flawless, but because you are no longer at war with your own imperfection. And when you trust yourself, people trust you too. They feel it without needing you to explain it. They respond to it in ways you could never force with polished words or practiced smiles. You don't overcome insecurity by silencing it. You overcome it by outgrowing the belief that it defines you. The fear will still visit. The doubts will still whisper. The hesitation will still arise. But they won't steer you anymore. You'll hear them, and you'll stay present anyway. You'll feel the fear, and still speak anyway. You'll notice the discomfort, and still choose connection anyway. That's where real change happens. Not by eliminating all traces of fear, but by refusing to let fear be the author of your story. You stop seeking permission to exist. You stop asking the world to validate what you must claim for yourself. And in that space, that quiet space where you finally belong to yourself, you become someone who no longer leaks insecurity into the room. You become someone who carries an energy that feels like steadiness, like safety, like something people didn't know they were longing for until they found it. The transformation isn't loud, it's not dramatic, it doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It's subtle, quiet, internal. It shows up in the way you breathe a little easier when you speak, in the way your body no longer stiffens under someone else's gaze, in the way you stop rehearsing your existence and start living it. People notice, even if they can't explain it. They feel the calm that replaces the old tension. They sense the steadiness where there once was fear. You don't need to announce that you've changed. Your presence speaks for you. It tells the truth you used to hide, that you are no longer waiting for the world to accept you before you accept yourself, that you are no longer offering a performance. You are offering presence. And that shift, that quiet revolution inside you, changes everything. It doesn't just change how people see you, it changes how you see yourself. You were never too broken to be seen. You were never too damaged to be loved. It was never about becoming flawless. It was always about becoming honest. Honest with yourself first, then honest with the world. Real confidence isn't built by erasing every flaw. It's built by standing calmly in full view of them, unashamed. It's built by refusing to armor your humanity just to feel safe. It's built by choosing to be visible even when fear tells you to hide. And when you live like that, you don't need to prove anything anymore. Your presence does what your words never could. It invites, it steadies, it connects. So stop rehearsing who you think you should be. Stop bracing for judgment at every turn. You're already enough to take up space, to speak, to stay, to be felt, not perfectly, but powerfully. Not because you have no fear left, but because you chose not to run from it anymore.